Hello. The topic of my research that I've done is on the Florida aquifer system, which is a below ground basin of fresh water. And more specifically, we'll be looking at the Floridan aquifer, which is an 82,000 square mile basin of water that is located beneath the entire state of Florida that provides water for northeastern as well as central eastern Floridians. So as you can see here on the left, we have a picture which actually shows the entire Floridan aquifer, which in fact covers the entire state of Florida, as well as parts of South Carolina and Georgia and Alabama. And then on the right, you can see some examples of the aquifer, and this sort of shows you how the whole system works, how water comes in, comes back up into the springs and rivers and everything. So the aquifer really matters to Florida because the Floridan aquifer provides nearly 10 million people with suitable drinking water, and 90% of the people living in northeastern and central eastern Florida get their drinking water from the Floridan aquifer. The current problem right now is that scientists have found the rate of regeneration for the water within the aquifer has fallen behind the rate at which we've been withdrawing water for the past decade. The 82,000 square mile aquifer, as I already said, is home to billions of gallons of water, but the withdrawal levels have steadily increased since the 1800s when it was first discovered in Savannah, Georgia. And if the aquifer were to get to dangerously low levels of water, millions would be without drinking water. And I know you may be thinking that there's 82,000 square miles and billions of gallons of water, but not all of this water is suitable. First, because in areas close to the sea, sometimes the salt water infiltrates into the basin, which that water becomes unsuitable to drink. And as well, there is a lot of outdated infrastructure problems in the state of Florida, and specifically septic tanks have been leaking nitrogen pollution into the aquifer, which now some of that water cannot be used without specific chemical treatment. Um, and so another big thing that's come to the forefront is the corporate usage of water. So the Seven Springs Water Company, which is located near Ginny Springs, Florida, is responsible for allowing companies to come in and apply to use the aquifer for their water bottling companies. And so companies such as Aquapen, Coca-Cola, and Ice River have already used the Floridan aquifer, and they've been able to maintain healthy levels of water withdrawal. But most recently, Nestle, which is the largest food distributor on the globe, has applied to tap into the aquifer with the intent of bottling more water and coming in and is using as much water as they possibly can. So here you can see some of the companies that have been using it, and Nestle, which intends on using it. And so there's current policies in place that only allow companies to use 1.15 million gallons per day, but this limit has never been reached. It honestly hasn't even eclipsed half. The most that's ever been used was in 2006 when nearly 400,000 gallons per day were used, but since then we haven't seen levels nearly this high. But Nestle plans on coming in and using nearly 1 million gallons per day, which are levels that we've never seen before, which is very dangerous. And then another policy that is also in place is the Spring and Aquifer Act of 2016, which was implemented to upgrade the standard at which we put septic systems underground to make sure that there's no more further nitrogen pollution. And as well, they've been taking a look at old systems that are in place to try and prevent any further nitrogen leakage into the aquifer. So here you can see some of the pictures of the beautiful springs that are in Florida, that all of this water comes from the Floridan aquifer. And so with companies coming in, especially Nestle, trying to use the aquifer and trying to drain the water, the levels of these springs could potentially get lower, and there could be harm to wildlife, and as well, millions of people could be left without drinking water if there were to ever be a time when the water level gets to like dangerous. And so my recommendation currently is that the state legislator should lower the amount of water that is allowed to be withdrawn, and it should be more at a sustainable rate, which is close to, if not below, the regeneration rate of water within the basin. That way, the aquifer can continue to sustain itself, and for generations to come, there will still be suitable drinking water for people to use. And as well, I believe that if we're going to allow these large companies to come in and tap into the aquifer, a tax should be put on every gallon of water withdrawn from the aquifer, which would directly fund research and acts to protect and revitalize the aquifer system.